Today we have Chris Miquel. Chris sent billions and billions of emails and deliverability, which I sometimes cannot pronounce, is Chris's thing. Over the past 13 years, Chris has been building a list growth agency that helps media companies grow their subscribers, grow their lists. Chris launched the company Daily Transmedia in 2018, which currently has 12 brands, right?
Yep, that's
Yeah,
correct.
12 brands in the portfolio and counting. So super excited to have you, Chris, on. Yeah, excited to chat about deliverability. It's a extremely important topic, like open rates going down.
Right.
So we need you, Chris. All right. So what could you share a little bit about your background other than what I've just kind of covered, and how come you became so passionate about deliverability and list growth?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Andy, first. So I've been in the game obviously a long time, like Andy said. I first started kind of before websites are really a thing. I have a tech and a programming background, which is what I learned when I was in college. And the last class I took at the university, it was like the first time they started offering it was introductory to websites. And this was way back, and websites were very basic, tables only, no, not much CSS, none of that was even around. So super basic websites. But that was the last class I took in college, and then from there, went off, started doing some programming, some tech work, and then I started dabbling with websites on the side and building my first website. And I built a website it's called Mortgage Beast. I wish I still had that domain name right now, which I don't. I was too young and dumb, but I built it to try to generate leads for a mortgage company that my mom was working for. And I built a website and started driving traffic and generating leads for the business. And that's kind of how I started to get into the web game. And from there we built an agency, partnered with a friend of mine that I knew from high school, actually. We reconnected after college, and we started an agency, and we grew that agency pretty big. We ended up having about 40 full-time employees, and we were doing that for a long time. We just didn't like the agency business, unfortunately. As far as what we were doing, we were building websites, doing full stack marketing, email marketing, search engine marketing, SEO, obviously search engine optimization, but the full gamut. But we had a lot of local businesses, regionals. The biggest client we had at the time, we did a campaign for Intel at one point. But that being said, we just got to the point where my business partner and I didn't like having to manage all of our employees, 50 people. And the only way we could really scale our business was to basically add more employees because you were billing hourly, right? So it was getting paid for hours of work. And we wanted to find a different route to go. We wanted to kind of downsize, and we wanted to work with audiences and technology to scale versus people.
Mhm.
So we pivoted and we got into performance-based marketing, where we didn't really have clients anymore. We were driving traffic for clients, getting paid obviously on a performance basis or generate leads for them. And by doing that, we started building our own publications, newsletters to facilitate that. And over the years, we built a number of properties, and now we're fully into that. And then now we're back into doing the list growth for other people, but it's more on a performance basis versus an
Retainer.
agency business, right? We're not doing the campaign for them. We're not doing the creatives for them, stuff like that. So that's kind of where we are now. And because of that, I've obviously been around email for a long time. Had the ups and downs of deliverability. Getting out of super bad reputation before, back to high. And I've helped other people, obviously, in the industry with their deliverability as well. So that's
Mm.
kind of where we're at.
Would you say that was a good decision, hindsight, to like switch the model?
Great decision. Great decision. Where we have less than 10 employees now,
Mm.
and we're doing more revenue than we did back then. Less headaches, less management. And everything's tied to performance, the end result, which, it's easier to to rate than
Yeah,
people doing their work. So
less communication probably as well.
yeah,
Cool. Well,
and
let's chat
less
about,
like with
yeah,
the clients as well, right?
yeah, yeah. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, so cool. Let's chat about, deliverability. So when it comes to, deliverability, what are the, some of the key things that influence whether an email gets into inbox or gets into spam? Maybe, yeah, promotion folder.
Yeah, so the three main factors is going to be one, your reputation. So what's your domain reputation, your IP reputation?
Mm,
And that's a number of factors. Obviously, the history of what you've been doing, and it's based by each ISP. So for those who don't know what an ISP is, it's an inbox service provider. So Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, Comcast, whoever Microsoft has their Outlook and Live and MSN Hotmail. But each one basically rates your domains and IPs that the emails are being sent on and gives you a ranking. And that's that's going to be the biggest factor. And then on top of that, they're going to look at your consistency of not only your sending frequency, but your volume. So if you're sending daily, are you sending daily? Are you sending at the same time every day? How often you're sending, and then what's your volume? So are you sending consistent volumes? You can obviously increase or decrease your volume, but if you're sending consistently 100,000 a day,
mm,
and then one day you send to 500,000 people, that's going to be a flag like, what are they doing here? Right. So that could maybe ding you, especially if all those people you send to aren't engaging. So you want to make sure you're setting consistent times a day, and volume is very important. And then the third piece is the engagement. So how much and when I mean engagement, you can't really count opens anymore because of all the false opens and stuff through all the tech platforms causing that. So it's really how many people are clicking for the most part on your emails that go out. Obviously, replies and forwards can help too. Those are obviously harder to get, especially when you're doing newsletter sending, if a newsletter-based product, or even if you're, sending marketing emails, you're not getting too many replies. But the call to action is the click. So the more clicks you can get, which is the click-through rate,
mm.
the better your engagement's going to go, which is going to give you bonus points to get in that inbox.
Well, you said you cannot really count opens anymore, but I would kind of assume, this thing has like the recent changes with Gmail and all these providers, obviously inflate, or like iOS, right? Now the iOS has inflated the open rates, but you can still kind of just look at what's um what's the open rate adjusted to that, because there's going to be some inflated number of opens, but with that you can still look at them, right?
Correct. I mean, there's a few things you can do, right? So it is inflated. So one thing that we do use open rates for is to get a baseline. So we know our
Yeah.
baseline is 50% open rates, and
Mhm.
then the next day we see a 30%. We know something's wrong, right? We know that
Mhm.
there was some type of
Yeah,
issue. So
you
we
can
use
still
it as
use them.
more of a baseline than knowing that we have an industry standard healthy open rate of this. So we're looking
Because
at a baseline. Now there's some ESPs that may have some more advanced. Really the problem is the stats is coming from whoever you're using to manage your emails, the ESP.
yeah.
So some of them have more advanced, sophisticated reporting where they may look at the opens that are being triggered, and if it's within, less than a second, X amount of milliseconds, it may not count that as an open, knowing that no one's in their inbox that fast clicking on something open. So they can
'Cause
filter that out and
do
give
you know if
you.
Beehiiv does it? If Beehiiv does
I'm
count
not
open
sure if
rates?
Beehiiv does it. Beehiiv does. They have started doing. I'd have to look. They have started doing that. I forget what it's called. don't know what the real click-through rate or whatever it is. I know that they're trying to give you like an idea of like what they think is the true click. I think maybe true click
Yeah.
versus regular clicks and stuff. I don't know if they do it to the open as well. Um, but I know Mailgun, I believe, does that. They take that into account for their opens. But there's so many platforms. I mean, there's
Yeah.
probably 100 plus different ESPs. So um,
Which platforms are you guys using, or most of your clients are using? Yeah.
we're on Beehiiv. We use Customer IO. We also use a company called Big Mailer. But that's just a facilitation uh, to manage the lists and the sending, but we're sending through Amazon basically.
Hmm. Through
IP
Amazon.
address. Yeah, Amazon SES, simple email service via Amazon.
How does it work? Like how do you guys do it? You still use Beehive,
You
let's
got
say.
you got to connect. You just connect it. It's just like Mailgun too. You just connect it or SendGrid. You just connect it to the software, and the
Mhm.
software is what manages your list, schedules the emails, and then it sends it to Mailgun, Amazon, SendGrid, SMTP, on not Engage. What's the other one? I can't remember the other one. There's a bunch of them.
Mm.
They're the ones that deliver. They're the ones that have the MTAs. They're the ones that have the software that actually sends out all the emails to the ISPs versus you having a server on hand and sending them out.
Um, cool. How does there's a lot of emails, and especially the ones we send out through Beehive that go into promotions folder
Yep.
often, and like that's what we tell people, like, hey, move it from promotion folder
Right.
into the main. How does the promotion folder work?
So there's no 100% correct answer for that, but so they set up the promo folder. They're trying to help people organize their inbox, right?
Yeah.
Give that feature, which I don't use it. When I'm looking at my email, I just have my main inbox, which is my most recent unopened emails, and I just go through there. So Chrome or not, will still end
Do
up
you use
in.
updates too? Like there's also, because I have my Gmail updates, promotions, and I think just my
Socials
yeah,
one.
social, yeah, social, yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
feel like
so they
it's
try to
useful. It's pretty useful.
Yeah, they try to organize it. And really the original concept behind the promo folder is one, they wanted to anything that was a promotion, special offer, right? Sales email, they wanted to bucket
Mm,
in there. But it was also for bulk email that got sent out. And unfortunately, for all the newsletter people out there,
yeah.
it could be considered bulk email as well because what's bulk email? Sending high volume
Um,
subscribers out at the same time. That's what a bulk email send is. Doesn't matter if it's a newsletter, a sales message, whatever it is. If you're sending the same message out to a big group of people, it's considered bulk sending. I think it's maybe if you send over uh, to really hit where you have to have all the correct technical requirements and settings and things like that. I think it's 5,000 a day for like Gmail, Yahoo. If you're doing that, you got to make sure you have your DKIMs, your DMARCs, your SPF records and all that stuff, and unsubscribe, one-click unsubscribes, like whatever the requirements are.
yeah.
I think it starts at like 5,000 a day. Um, but that's why the promotion tab was set up is to do that. So the only way to really try to not be in there comes to how engaged. Well, one is your domain reputation. Obviously, you have good domain reputation, that's going to help. And then how engaged your emails are. If people are engaged with their emails,
Mm.
they end up in their inbox. More often than it's going to end up in promos.
And
Now,
does it depend on the domain, like or if you specifically, like let's say we use Beehive domain, Beehive sending domain, right? And everybody else is using Beehive sending domain. So um, if let's say people engage with our list, would it help, or because we use Beehive sending domain, um, like that's not gonna affect us at all if people engage or not engage with us with our emails?
so it could do both, right? So the way it's set up in Beehive, which all of our accounts on Beehive, we have custom domain set up. So it's
Mm,
coming from our domain, like mail dot.
Yeah.
mydomain.com, whatever it is. In that case, when you're sending from Beehiiv, it's a couple factors. One, you are on a subdomain, so it could be, andy.beehiiv.com
Yeah.
coming from beehiiv.com itself. So there is a subdomain which could have its own set of domain reputation, one factor.
Mm.
But if the root beehiiv.com domain is destroyed because there's so much bad actors on it, it could still affect you even though you have your own subdomain, right? If the overall is so bad, it will affect you. If it's fine, it's
Yeah.
not going to affect you, and you could be doing better than some other people because you are on a custom subdomain. But then it's also tied to the IP reputation, right? So a lot of those emails are going to be on the same IP blocks that are getting sent from there. So that's another reputation metric you got to look at, which is was going to be shared on Beehiiv. Now, I have a couple of publications that are pretty big on Beehiiv, and they're on dedicated IPs on Beehiiv. So I have my own custom domain and my own IP, but still using the Beehiiv platform.
But everybody else shares the same IP that is on Beehive sending domain. Or
If they haven't got you set up with a dedicated
yeah,
IP, then you're on a shared. I don't know what their, how many
got it.
IP they have, whatever. They could have a few of them, I don't know what their setup is, but you're going to be on a shared IP space with all the other newsletters that are on there.
So still that subdomain, because if you have, let's say, newsletter name .beehive.com, like that still affects that could help you. Like if say you have super high engaged list, but in that
If
case, you'd better be you'd better just have a custom sending domain and custom a dedicated
Custom
IP.
send domain is
Yeah.
always best practice. Just keeps it isolated and for branding, right? You're seeing, I mean, if they look up in the email up there, the from and stuff, and they see,
Yeah.
whatever.beehive.com, they're like, is that the newsletter? I don't know.
Yeah. Makes
So,
sense.
what percentage of people are technical enough to look up there? I don't know, but that is a worry sometimes.
So like what do you do? How do you get out of the promotions tab?
So there's a few things you can do. I don't, getting out of it is a
It's a stretch.
funny word. Like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't really be in the promotions folder too often. If you're consistently in the promotions folder, you either should be there or you would be in the spam folder, right? So if you're in there, if you're consistently in the inbox, you end up in the promotions folder, then it's probably because either your domain reputation dropped a little bit and they're putting you in there for some reason, or it could be the content of your email, right? So I had a client that sent out their newsletter and they sent out a promotion for an advertiser.
Mhm.
And in the subject line, it says something like limited time offer.
Yeah.
And
Sounds like a promotion.
they emailed me,
Yeah.
hey, this is why did this show up in in the promo folder? And I'm like, well, it said limited time offer. Does it sound like do you think it sounds like a promotion?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'm like, one, don't include any salesy discount type of copy, especially in the subject line, right?
Mhm.
Don't put that stuff in there. Obviously, if you're an e-commerce business, a little different. You might be in the promo folder anyways, or whatever it is. I mean, e-com could be a little different. They're not sending as much. But the subject line, definitely none of that stuff. Try to rework it. And then what I also tell people is if you're a newsletter, you're integrating ads within your newsletter, and it's for a product or service from someone, try to make it sound like it's coming from you, make it native, make it come from you, make it more of a testimonial versus promoting a product all on salesy, do it now, scarcity, all this stuff. Just be like, promote it so well that how much you love it that people are going to be interested to go check it out versus just going because you said, here's
Mhm.
a discount. Now, if you have a long form email, and one little piece of it has that
Mm,
in the body, you're
that's fine.
probably fine. Not gonna say it won't do anything ever, but
Yeah.
you're probably fine. But if it's in the subject line, that's a real big red flag right there.
Are there any tools or maybe some spam checkers or that could you can just paste it in your subject line, your preview text, and
I
just
use
not
I use mail tester,
mail test?
mail-tester.com, I think it's a .com. Um, and this I've been using this for whew, I don't know, 5, 6, maybe even a decade. I don't even know how long they've been around. But it does a great job of giving you a spam rating, kind of a score. And it just gives you an email address that you get, and you just send your email to it before you send it live. Obviously, send it here first as like a test email,
Mhm.
and then it'll give you a score on what it's rating your email. And if anything over a 9 is good, so 0 to 10. Anything under it, it'll tell you what's wrong. There's issues, broken links, too much HTML, missing uh, validation on one of your email records, SPF, something like that. It'll tell you all anything that's wrong, you can fix it. So that's what I use.
Got it. That's really useful. Yeah, I think I've used it in the past. Thank you.
Hmm.
What's the so Beehive they whenever they get flagged or whenever they get some sort of just any damage with any reputation damage for their domain with these I guess spam lists or I forget what they're called, like
Blacklist.
block lists. Yeah, like they basically get on their, like sometimes they might get on their block list, but they have a team of people, deliverability team, that would go and call them and do all of the work to get out of that list.
Yep.
And I know a lot of people are using those the Beehive customs anyway, including us. Like some of our newsletters, we still use it just because of that. That's super useful. Would you suggest, or like, what are your thoughts regarding using Beehive setting domain versus setting up your own custom domain?
Like I said before, I always prefer custom domains, sending from my own domain versus using a third party's subdomain or domain system. Um, you're in more control, and it's more branding,
Hmm.
uh, and you do have some uh, separate domain authority versus being on tied to their domain reputation in any degree, whether it's a
Hmm.
subdomain or a full domain. You'll be tied to Beehive a little bit. If you're on a custom, you're going to be on your own domain. You'll have shared reputation on the IP, but that's one factor of deliverability. It's really, domain reputation and IP reputation combined gives you, I don't know their algorithm and scoring, how they do it or whatnot over at the ISPs, but those are the
Hmm.
two things to look at. Google, Google Gmail gives you great insight, more than, Yahoo and AOL. They don't really give you good insight. They have Google Postmaster tools, which I recommend if you're not signed up with Google Postmaster tools. You should be signed up for every single one of your mailing domains that you're using. And it gives you all your stats, shows you what your complaint rates are historically, daily. It shows you what um, your domain reputation is, what your IP reputation, and we use that to monitor, the health of our emails all the time. And obviously, we know that if we see that our domain reputation has taken a hit, it went from high to medium, then we start tightening up our segments. So we don't send to as many people. We send to less people that are more engaged. Uh,
Hmm.
so if they haven't engaged with us and whatever the time frame is, we won't send to that people
What time
until we
frame do you
get back
typically
time.
use for yeah, if they haven't engaged, what number of days?
So it just depends, it's everyone's different, and all depends on your sending frequency more than anything. So I can just give an example. For most of our newsletters are um, sent
Twice
every
daily?
twice daily, every day of the week. So we have an AM newsletter, a PM newsletter.
Okay.
Um, and those go out every day. So that's a lot of
Yeah.
email that goes out. So for us, a good, and I call them base sending segments. I talk about this all the time in my newsletter that I send out, Twitter all the time. Base sending segment is what you should always be sending your list to, for a few reasons. But standard sending segment for us would be a 30-day clicker.
Clicker.
Yeah, clicked in the last 30 days, opened in the last 15 days, or has been added in the last 7 days. So the reason why it's like that is the frequency. So since we send every day and we're sending twice a day, so if you've clicked in the last 30 days, that means they've received 60 emails from
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Yes.
And if they haven't clicked, then they're probably not going to click on the next one if they haven't clicked in the last 60.
Yeah.
The 15-day opener is same thing, sent twice a day, so they get 30 emails. If they haven't opened
Yeah.
once and 30 emails have been
Yeah.
sent,
It's a good
why
sample
are we going to
size.
send to them?
Yeah.
And then seven is a week, they're getting 14 emails. If someone hasn't opened an email in 14 days, they're done. It's just going to hurt your engagement. And these can get changed over time as your manager your deliverability based on your domain reputation, what are your open rates, click-through rates, how's the health of your stuff. You can loosen it.
Yeah.
We've gone to 60-day clickers, 30-day openers, 10 to, and then we have to tighten up if things aren't looking good. Then okay, we'll just send to 15-day openers, 10-day clickers, 3-day added. If we get tight because our domain reputation might have gone down, 'cause we're a little bit too sending to too many people. Um, but that's kind of how it's done. So, like my what is it? My audience bridge newsletter, which is the one I talk about deliverability and all that stuff and engagement on. I send it once a week, right? So that's going to be different than this daily newsletter that goes out. So that one, I think I have it set to 120, 90, 60. So have they clicked in the last 120 days? Have they opened in the last 90 days? Or have they been added in the last 60 days? So obviously that's, only once a week. So, um, that gives it however many times it is. Then have they opened in the last, I don't know, 7 or 8 emails that I've sent? Have they, clicked in the last 20, whatever it is, but I do that. And then that's, again, I call it a base sending segment because that's
Mm.
the one we send all the time. That's like your go-to email do. It's going to have people that aren't engaging, they're going to fall off the list. People that have never activated, which means they've never opened an email, they're going to fall off the list. It's going to keep it healthy, and you don't have to do anything about it. It just automatically happens and keeps it going. Now, you're going to want to try to re-engage people, right? People that fall off the list.
Yeah.
So then you do a re-engagement segment, which can be, depending on how big your list is, you might just send in the whole list once a month or something, or once every couple of months, depending on your frequency, to try to re-engage people. Maybe you'll get some back. So that would be a re-engagement segment. And obviously you want to integrate that into your sending practices.
What we do is like before they get removed, so 3 days before they get removed, they get sent this email, their engagement email, and then they have to like engage, and then if they don't, we just like make them inactive. Would you
Yeah,
say this is something? Yeah.
that's one strategy. There's a few different strategies you can do. Obviously, that's one strategy. Um, One strategy that I use a lot is I just, if they haven't been on for a while,
Mhm.
um, they haven't, I wait. So, maybe they fell off. I won't send to them right when they fall off. I would wait 30, 60 days. And then I would just add them again uh to my normal sends, right? I'll just send them my normal content, whatever the newsletter is going out that day, and see if they all of a sudden are just interested in getting that again. Because, in general, the most engaging stuff you're going to do is the content you're producing every day. I see the value in I don't forget what they call them, the win back,
Yeah.
the, the final, whatever, where it's like, hey, tell me you still want to be on here. If not, I won't send to you anymore or whatever. We'll just get rid of you. Like, I can see that working to a small percentage of people, but some people, will they even open that email? What are they gonna do when they get there? So it just, you know, it all depends. I mean, a few times I've recently been posting about single opt-in versus double opt-in for subscribers. And I'm a single opt-in practitioner, where other people think that it has to be double opt-in. They have to sign up, then they have to get an email. They got to confirm that they want your emails, and then you can start sending to them. Um, I think that if they sign up, then they're on the list. I'm going to give them X amount of time with my best content to see if they're interested. If not, they're going to fall off anyway. So, and it's the same thing because if you're double opting in, you send that confirmation email. If they don't confirm, what
Yeah.
happens? Your system
So,
most likely sends another confirmation email
oh, really?
and then another one until it stops sending. Usually they do. If it's a good enough ESP, then I can just send one email and hope that they confirm. So they'll send more confirmation emails trying to get them activate. I just think that by sending the best content, that's the best chance you have
Yeah.
to activate the person. You got to make sure that you stop sending to them if they're not opening because it's going to hurt your engagement. But we've run tests before, both double opt-in versus single,
Mhm.
and net on engaged subscribers, single opt-in outperforms it by a long shot. So you're getting more subscribers that are engaged versus the people that uh, double opt-in.
Yeah.
You're leaving a lot of meat on that bone.
Um, Regarding that re-engagement, so you'd wait 30 to 60 days and then you would start sending it again. How effective it is? Like, do you see a lot of people actually re-engage back? What's the percentage
Yeah.
of, yeah?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that's hard to say. It's going to be different. Depends how much volume you're doing, but um, what you can do is before you send out your re-engagement segment, we always notate what our current active 30-day clicker file is. So we'll make a note, right? Before we send that our 30-day clickers is, I don't know, 50,000 people.
Mm,
We'll send that re-engagement. And then after the 24, 48 hours, we'll take a look at our 30-day clicker segment and see how much it went up by. And if it's going up, then your re-engagement's working. If it's not going up, then your re-engagement's not working. And, it's probably a lot of dead emails in there.
mm. But you still guys do the re-engagement email where it's like, hey, you're gonna be removed. Are you still there? Are you in and are you out?
No,
You don't
no,
do that.
mm-mm.
Mm. Because it's
No.
just a small percentage of people. Like you just found that doing the like waiting and then just sending content again is more effective.
Yeah, for my newsletter. So it's a good question. So outside of my deliverability email, all my emails are um they're more news-based, consumer-based emails. I have some political newsletters. I got a health newsletter. Got some satire. I got some different stuff, feel good news and things like that. So we're just sending out more. Uh, I call it, I guess, more short form newsletters, more article based stuff than long form copy, which is like a lot of what a lot of people think of as 1440 morning brew hustle, all these I don't know what we want to call them, but
Curation.
newsletter
Yeah.
2.0 informational newsletters these days. So I could see that, giving a last minute stuff versus a uh, more of like a news style newsletter.
Mm,
But it's always worked for us. So doing the one-offs every time they fall off, um, we haven't done it. We don't do a lot of automated emails that go out
hmm.
uh, outside of what I think is going to be big is click triggered. We do a lot of click triggered emails um,
What are some examples of click
to
trigger?
increase our engagement. Um, So an example would be um, we write an article about some health
Mm,
uh, ailment, and if someone clicks on that article to read it, we'll send them an email, another email about that health issue,
mm,
and maybe even a sponsored email from a partner
mm,
regarding that ailment. And two things, the engagement metrics are through the roof. Click-through rates, open rates, click-through rates, all that, like
mm,
80% higher than our regular sends
mhm,
because they literally are in their inbox, just clicked on the link to go to the thing, and now they're in their, they're in the inbox, so they're going to go back to the inbox and they're going to see your email right there. So you're not sending a bulk email that goes out, waiting for the person to finally open their email. You send it at 6 a.m. Who knows when they're going to get there, and then all the other email that they're receiving gets built up. This is like they're there, so the metrics are really high.
That's good for your reputation as well, and it's just
Right.
good for the
That's right.
experience.
You're
Do
getting you're
you,
getting
so it sounds like you segment your ads or maybe sponsored based on, yeah, basically your ads based on what they're interested in or what they click on. Is it kind of like what social media does, just more better experience?
Yeah, for those triggers for sure. That's 100% how they're done. Some of the other stuff is ad arbitrage, programmatic ads. So those are just tied to whatever the platform wants to show the user.
Right. So you do that segmentation based on what's the base sending list base sending.
Yeah, base sending segment.
Any other ways you using segmentation? I mean, so the one that you just mentioned based on the click, when they click on some sort of article, maybe they get
Yep.
added to this like you get a tag. Okay, they're interested in this issue.
Yep. So I mean, we have all types, too many segments. But we have a lot of reporting segments, which are important. So understanding how your deliverability is across the different ISPs is very important, right?
Mhm.
What's happening to Gmail, what's happening with AOL, Yahoo, what's happening with Comcast, Microsoft, whatever, cable. Um, And a lot of these platforms don't give you that insight. They just group it all into one, uh, number, right? Here's
Mhm.
your rate, here's your click-through rate. Now, like we mentioned previously, you might be at your baseline of 50%, then you drop to 30%. You're like, oh my God, what's wrong with deliverability? But it might just be one of those ISPs. You might be
Mhm.
perfectly fine on Gmail, but AOL, Yahoo, you're getting blocked for some reason. You're getting a lot of bounces. They don't like it, so they're soft bouncing your email, so it's not delivering. And what you normally would do, like, oh my God, something's happening. If it happens again, then you would, well, I got to tighten my whole list and that. But that's not the best way to go about it because you're
Mhm.
delivering fine everywhere else. Why are you going to lower the people you're sending to when you don't have to? So we set up reporting segments for each ISP group. There's Gmail, then there's Yahoo, AOL, and then you got Microsoft, which is MSN, Live, Hotmail, Outlook. You have Comcast kind of by itself. Um, and then you have like Verizon, Bell South, and these are kind of in the Verizon Media Group. Um, and we create reporting segments so we can see if there is an issue, which one is having the issue. And then based on that, now we create other segments, and they're mainly exclude segments. So we can exclude certain people from getting sent to. So if we see that there's an issue on one, we'll just say there's an issue on AOL,
Mhm.
we have an exclude segment, which will say, it will include everyone who has not clicked in the last 3 days or opened in the last day or whatever it is. That's super tight. Um, but we would do that so that now we would just add that exclusion to our we have select your base segment, sending segment, and then you add this exclusion.
Mhm.
Now you're only going to be sending to people from AOL that have either clicked in the last 2 days or opened in the last day, right? And then that's how you kind of improve that delivery for that one. And then slowly you can loosen it up and then you can get rid of it eventually when all your engagement's fine and you're back to just your base setting segment. So we use it for exclusion segments,
Mhm.
um, re-engagement segments, like we talked about before. I mean, those are the major ones.
Do you ever
You
like ask them for, I don't know, their name or anything?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. We do have surveys that we run to try to capture more information about the subscribers.
Mm,
We also do third-party appending, right? So we get the email address and we provide it to some data provider to
mm.
get, where they're from, what's their name, and stuff like that. If we don't have it, so we can use that for personalization and localization. Yeah, it's one of those words.
Localization, yes.
Ability, localization.
Yeah.
uh, um, Targeting, geo-targeting for some stuff. Um, so
And so do you ever personalize emails like, hey, first name or like first name
yeah,
something?
yep. Hey, first name, or we could do uh, one interesting technique that we use sometimes too is for showing ads. We'll have a flag in there that says show ads basically attached to each subscriber. And when a new subscriber gets added to subscribes to our list, gets added to the email list, that flag is turned on to no ads. And the emails that go out, the ad slots that ads would be in aren't there for those people. It's dynamic.
For how
Uh,
long?
we do that for 14 days.
For 14 days, you don't show ads to them.
Right.
Well, that's a lot of lost revenue, right? Like in the beginning.
It
And
might be
you figure
unless
that's better long term?
unless they don't like the ad experience and they unsubscribe, or we try to get them to like the content first and stay on, and then
Yeah,
they start showing the ads.
it's very interesting. And you've
I mean,
found
I
that,
don't recommend just doing it. I recommend testing it. Don't just do it and be like, "Oh, Chris told me to do this," and
yeah.
my revenue just dropped by 50%.
Yeah,
So, and this is more for like the programmatic stuff. I'm talking about, the dynamic ads that are showing, not a sponsorship that you might get that's sponsoring your whole newsletter. That's a
yeah.
different
What are you
different.
using for programmatic ads?
We use live intent.
Live intent. Got it. Um, Makes sense. So, do you have a checklist or things you do before sending an email every time you send an email? Or is it, yeah,
No, I don't have a checklist, before sending every email per se. Obviously, it was all following best practices,
yeah,
testing the email through mail tester, a good thing to do. Unfortunately, over time, especially if you've been doing it for a long time, it's a step when you probably say too, because it sounds like you said you've used it before. You just stop using it because you get comfortable, like, oh, nah, this is good. I don't need to do this anymore. I know it's good, and then you forget to do it, and
yeah,
it happens to everyone. So trying to be consistent with that is a good thing. On a lot of our newsletters, like I said, they're article based, so they're more we can call them more RSS feed um, heavy.
mhm,
And they're automatic. They get scheduled and sent out automatically. So the headline, subject line, all that stuff is done by the writers when they're publishing into the websites, to our publications. It just pulls that automatically. So there's not a lot we can do beforehand. It goes out, it's automatically gets scheduled by our system and they get sent out. So there's no like, proofing, doing all stuff. It's all done to eliminate any hiccups from happening. Um, but I do have as far as like launching newsletters and getting your sending under control, I do have kind of a guide that goes through all that I published in the beginning of the year for everyone on the new year. And it's basically 12 12 tips to make sure you have the best chance of hitting the inbox. So I do have that, and that's kind of long. I don't know if you want me to go through it, but
Where people can find that.
they can find it on my newsletter website.
What is it?
Insight. It's insights.audiencebridge.io.
Yeah, we'll make sure to include that in the description. Sure.
Yeah. But it's 12 steps. It goes through like the technical setup, the segmentation, like we just talked about, proper branding of the email. We talk the consistency, setting frequency and volume, which we talked about today already. Obviously, can't spam, following your can't spam policy. Um, we're US based, all of our subscribers are US based, so
Mhm.
we don't have the European and all that stuff. So there's a lot of other policies you need to be familiar with if you are international. Um, and then monitoring, which we talked about, engagement by ISP. I don't know, do we talk about this, but one of the big ones, monitoring your complaint rates, right? You need to be under 0.1% complaint
How do you do
rate.
that? Monitoring complaint rates.
So the complaint rates, there's two ways. One is you got to look at Google Postmaster tools, be signed up to that to see what your complaint rates are there for Gmail.
Mhm.
Um, and then the second one is through feedback loops. So AOL, Yahoo, Comcast, a lot of them have feedback loops set up. They should already be set up with your ISP or your ESP, and it'll show you the complaints in your provider. So if it's
Oh,
an
like
AOL,
spam complaints?
yeah, the spam
Yeah.
complaints will show up on your ESP for AOL, Yahoo, and those, not for Gmail. Gmail does not return any. They do not have a feedback loop, so
Mhm.
they're gonna see complaints on there. So that's another thing you got to be careful for because say you're sending Gmail and your list is heavy Gmail. Say you have
Yeah.
100,000, a list of 100,000, 80,000 are Gmail,
Mhm. Yeah.
20,000 are other. You get a complaint rate of point, you know, point oh, call it point oh eight, right? The threshold is 0.1%, but like 0.08% complaint rate. But that can only come from that 20,000, not the 100,000, but it's taking into account the complaint rate of the 100,000 send.
Oh no.
So you can actually be at like 1.7% or whatever the number
Well,
is.
if let's say, people use Beehiiv sending domain, would they be so they wouldn't be able to see the actual complainant from Gmail, or would they be able to do that using Google Postmaster?
No, no, no.
Yeah. There's
They
no way
won't.
to look. There's no way to see that.
They don't have a feedback loop, so they will not tell you what email complained.
But like one could use I think you could you segment specifically the you can segment out everything other than Gmail and just look at the complaint rate specifically for those and maybe kind of
Yeah, so that's what we do is, like I said, on our reporting segments, we have a segment that was how much of AOL was sent in the last 24 hours, how many AOL complained in the last 24 hours. And then we have that and it shows us what percentage rate, what our complaint rate is per
Hmm.
um, domain. So we have that set up for AOL, we have that set up for Yahoo, we have that set up for Comcast, Microsoft, all the
Hmm.
different ones. Um, and we do that. And we have to build an internal system, um, software that we're using to monitor that ourselves. We tie into the different ESPs to monitor that.
But that's insane. That's fascinating. I had no idea that that's so everybody's spam rates are much higher. Whoever uses yeah,
Yeah, if they don't, realize it,
yeah.
that's a major issue.
Wow. Any trends impacting deliverability that you're seeing right now in the game?
Affecting deliverability. If you're following best practices, no, you know, um, I would say the two biggest issues, one is people are just setting to their whole list. right? They're not
Yeah.
segmenting. People don't understand that you should have a base setting segment or some type of segment to instead of setting to your whole list because obviously your list continues to grow and you're not getting anyone else off, if you're not taking people off, then your metrics are gonna over time continue to go down. They're not gonna stay, no one stays on a list forever or active on a list forever. So you're slowly gonna hurt your metrics, which in turn will um, hurt your reputation, and then you'll probably stop inboxing. So that's the biggest thing is people not having segments
Yeah.
set up to send to. The other thing would be not having your technical setup correct. Seeing a lot of issues there as far as having your DKIM, your SPF, DMARC set up. And those are all requirements now for both email senders. A lot of the ESPs have you set that up in the process when you're setting up your stuff. So it's a
Mm.
lot of it's taken care of. There are some that have not. I don't know if they've updated from now since then, since the update was made. There were some ESPs that didn't have that
Mm.
properly. Um, but really, it's going to come down to the engagement, just sending to the wrong people.
Mm. Yeah, especially these days when, there's AI, there's more content being produced than ever, and it's just getting even more and more. Like people are creating, newsletters being written by agents and like being sent out by agents, like and everything. Like they don't do anything in there.
Right.
So, as we have more content, like it looks like the open rates are declining over time. So, like it seems like making it more personalized, like what you guys doing with maybe location based or the names or maybe some other information, like that should have more relevancy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And
look at the good example I think is um the rise, within the last you say even 6 months of the local newsletter,
yes.
right? Everyone's like, and why is it successful? Because they have great engagement. Because you're talking about stuff in that person's area versus a national news thing that, yeah, it might appeal to some people, but over time, like, "Oh, I'm tired of the freaking national news. Now, if it's local stuff that's actually affecting them every day, you can see how that can have a big impact on the engagement of the emails. So that's a big thing right now.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, high relevancy. Um, cool. What's the so just some personal or insights or yeah. What's the highest ROI activity you've done in the last 12 months?
So I was thinking that this is a tough one, but I would say we implemented a system called EOS.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a company operating system. We got from Traction, and we've been doing it for probably 2 years. And I would say we've done it not successfully.
Not
Uh,
successfully.
Not successfully. We've done some parts, but not there. So within the last, I think about was it 4 months ago? I'd say yeah, probably 4 months ago. We hired an implementer
Uh-huh.
slash coach, an EOS expert to facilitate and do it for us and manage us through the process, which has been a game changer. I mean,
Really?
so yeah, it's trying to do it yourself is a lot more difficult. You don't have that outside perspective. Someone showing you how to really do each of the items that you're supposed to do within that operating process, and the improvement, opening up the insights on things that we didn't even see before. So that's been the biggest change in the business.
What is like one of the biggest things maybe that person changed that or fixed that you're doing differently in the iOS system?
Uh, how to identify the root issue of a problem versus just an issue.
Yeah.
There might be, say, we'll talk about email deliverability. I mean, it's more than just, email deliverability, what we use it for. It's for the whole business, sales, all that stuff. But, in email deliverability, you might say, oh my God, um, my emails are going to spam right now. I'm totally blocked. What do I do?
Mm,
Like, okay, well, you're blocked, so just tighten up, send to a lot less people, only send to your most engaged people. Um, and it's still not working. Was that the really issue? Was the issue that you're sending to the wrong people, too many people, or what was really the issue? Come to find out, you keep on digging in, and really the issue was someone updated a DNS record on your domain on accident and deleted some SPF record or something, or changed the
mm,
SPF record, and all of a sudden your emails were getting blocked because you told the ISPs to block your emails on accident. So, digging deep to make sure you know what the root issue is and not just at the top layer seeing what the outcome is happening right now and thinking that the issue is something different. It's really digging in to find the root of a problem versus the superficial stuff.
mm, interesting. Yeah. Yeah. That's very cool. So do you still have like these 10 years goals or like 3 years goals?
Yeah, we don't do 10-year, we do 5-year, uh, 5-year, 3-year, 1 year. He helped us do that. He's like, you don't need to do 10 years. Things move too fast.
Yeah, even the 5 years
And,
or 3 years, like I
right,
feel like
5 years
there's
is even hard too. Um, that he's helped us, identify how better at establishing our goals and objectives and our rocks. Um, just pretty much the whole process. He's helped us identify and manage our scorecards, which we use to manage everything that's going on. He's helped us through all that process.
and you do like monthly meetings or quarterly meetings,
We do weekly meeting.
weekly meeting.
We do it's called level 10. We do a weekly level 10. And then we do a quarterly planning meeting, and then you do a yearly planning meeting.
That's cool. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What are your top favorite books or maybe one
The one is Traction, which I kind of talked about from,
fraction?
from Gino Wickman. That's the one that talks about the EOS system,
Mm,
and how to get traction in your business. And then the most impactful book I've ever read was First Things First from Stephen R. Covey. And that's one about just how to manage your priorities, right? It's the basis of the original knocking out your big rocks first. Right? The whole story about having a jar and you put, you know, the
Sand.
teacher put
Sorry.
60 rocks in there and hey class, is the jar full? Yes. Then he grabbed pebbles,
Oh yeah.
filled it up, and they're like, oh. He's like, is it full now? They're like, yes. And then he grabbed sand, poured sand in there. Same thing. Hey, yeah, it is. And then he got water, poured some water in there, started seeping in through the sand. So he's like, if you filled it up with water first, you put one big rock on there, it would overspill. So
Yeah.
it's like doing your big rock. So that's kind of what the book's about. And then the four quadrants, what's most important, what's urgent, not urgent, all this stuff. So with that book, and from my personal life through my business life, being able to balance it all,
Mm,
personal, spiritual, business, where before I was 110% just focused on business,
mm,
which is affecting my other part of my life, which
of
affects the
course.
business long
Yeah.
term because you're having friction over here. It's not good for here. So making sure it's all balanced. But that book made the biggest impact, uh, me professionally, personally, everything.
Super cool. Well, thank you. Where
Yeah.
where can people find you online?
Twitter, LinkedIn, and You can sign up for my newsletter, insights.audiencebridge.io. Twitter is, let me look real quick. I think it's MIQ Chris is my Twitter. Yeah,
Nice.
MIQ Chris would be my Twitter. And then my LinkedIn, I think, is Chris Miquel. Yeah, Chris Miquel is my LinkedIn profile.
Awesome. Well, we'll include the links in the description of the video or podcast.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks for being a guest today, Chris. Really exciting. Just a lot of insights about deliverability, so much good stuff. So really, I think it's going to be super useful for everybody watching and wanting to improve their deliverability. And for everybody listening, you guys, send comments and likes. Make sure you subscribe and yeah, send it to somebody who might need this, who has a newsletter, who's a newsletter operator, and it's going to be super useful to them. All right,
Okay.
and see you in the next one.
All right, Andy, thanks for having me.